everyone. So excuse my nervousness. I did write everything that I'll be saying down. So if I'm looking at my phone, just because I'm reading what I wrote. So, hello, my name is Alejandro. I use any pronouns, he, she, they, whatever you can come up with. Um, so I'm here to talk about house rules in board games specifically. Um, a little bit about me, as you said, I'm a writing tutor from a community college in Florida. Uh, we develop different kinds of resources for the students to help them navigate the process. Um, the workshops that I do, so for students as well, I have never formally studied play or been interested since when I got a degree, interested in house rules that have been informally and formally used to describe context specific rules. So, a few questions that I'll go through. My first question being, what are house rules? It can be pretty self-explanatory to explain. It's in the name. House rules are alternative rules that are developed by play communities and ultimately decided on by players that only take effect within the specific play experience. There can be common house rules such as stacking in Uno, but there can also be house rules specific to a singular play experience. Another way to put it is that house rules are a type of metagame. House rules are a passing fashion within the play community. They can be fun and interesting one day, but useless or unneeded the next. And so here are two quotes that I found to be important. First one being, or one quote, I'm sorry. First one being from Metagames, Video Games and Practice of Play. Um, Although the term metagame is used to denote a wide variety of activities related to games, like the common strategies or passing fashions surrounding competitive card games, there is no unified definition of metagame. Uh, that being said, I did create a little bit of a definition for house rules. Um, that they are passing fashions created by player communities to be used to alter gameplay and transform conflict. Um, so saying all that, here's a little story to help kind of maybe visualize it a little bit. Um, so you and your friend group have been playing the same play game, Uno, for years now, and this story in your group, you developed a house rule for players if they feel confused or conflicted about what cards to play. So when first developing this rule, there were a lot of discussions. Some players felt it ruined the spirit of the game, but everyone eventually agreed that it was best to implement it since it was helpful for certain members of the group. If someone joins the group, you explain the rule to them, you explain this house rule to them. And so what starts out as confusion for that new player leads to more fun for everybody. Um, and then the day comes when you leave this friend group and you go to join another friend group to play this same card game with them. And then that's when the house rules becomes uh, conflict, and we'll get to that a little bit later at the end. So, question one here, when are house rules decided on? So this is a critical point, I think. If not done well, house rules can lead to conflicting house rules can lead to conflicts, right? The player must look at themselves, the player must look at each other, and they must decide how they all want the play experience to work. For many player communities, house rules are communicated at the start of play. The players have full agency at the situation to create the ideal play scenario, regardless of the rules established by the game makers, which maybe is controversial, but um, so question two here, who communicates the rules? Um, Often rules are dictated by the game makers, the developers, and communicated to the player through the book. And house rules can be communicated in similar ways. In some versions of Uno, for example, the game creator Mattel offers a small selection of house rules, although traditionally house rules are communicated by whoever owns the deck, or by the whole group, or someone who's extremely brave. Um, and so, what is the ritual for establishing these rules? Um, So the ritual to establish house rules can be as easy as discussing the opportunity prior to play. Um, but house rules do require a meta awareness of the game. It requires an understanding of the ways players relate to the game at hand. And so um, house rules do require a lot of familiarity with the game itself. Um, so here we have this quote for um, from the rules of play, talking about the magic circle, that it creates a new reality defined by the rules of the game and inhabited players. House rules have a place within the magic circle, although house rules work best when acknowledged first at the start of entering that circle. Um, and for advanced players, house rules can even be contested during play, which creates a metagame in itself where players deliberate on the right way to utilize a specific house rule. Um, can house rules be made a feature of any or all games? House rules are easy meta rules that can be featured within any game environment, card game or otherwise. As shown earlier in Uno, house rules have been encouraged in multiple ways by rule books and with unique cards in Uno. It's called the wild customizable card. This customizable card allows the player, and this is in the rule book, to write any house rule you wish, with the only limit being your imagination, but within parentheses it says, and the consent of the other players, which I think is really. But I also want to emphasize that within Uno rulebooks, there's no consistency with how they refer to these rules. And so if you have one rulebook versus the next, you might have a different play experience. Um, if the game has been around long enough, it's inevitable that players will find a way to bypass, alter, or create new rules. And game creators have an opportunity with that knowledge to allow and encourage these types of changes. So, other conclusions. Um, so, I have this quote here from Liminal Intimacy from a few of you. Through Bleed, Alibi, and the Magic Circle, and safety structures, role-playing communities can become transformational containers. Um, I believe that I began after reading this quote to wonder how these things bleed alibi, the magic circle, and safety structures can relate, be used with house rules. How can Uno facilitate personal and communal growth? Certainly, if house rules are not dictated early and reiterated often, or if house rules are not offered at all, players can be made to feel disinterested, out of the loop, and belittled. House rules work to create connection between the players. House rules can transform conflict. Uh, Card shedding games like Uno, uh, whether they are physical, uh, card shedding games like Uno ought to be developed with the expectation that the player will create new rules and alter existing ones. House rules, if carefully constructed, do not take away from the intended experience, rather, highlight the group dynamics. They can be used as an accessibility feature, and they allow for a more unique and fun experience. Based on what I have seen, players are going to do it whether you sanction it or not. And so, to finish the story, you sit down with this new group of friends. Everyone knows the game, so you just start playing. Halfway through the game, person to your left puts down 2 plus 4 cards and stacks them on top of each other and proclaims to you, now you have to draw +8. And so you, being confused, not knowing this rule, you admit to that to the group, and even though you don't understand it, and continue to have a fun time with your friend group, breaking the rules as you go along. Thank you so much. Uh, these are my references and citations. It's really fun to see. Thank you so much.